The 1960s were the years Africa raised its voice, a decade when flags replaced chains. But today, a new generation is rising, not against foreign rule, but against the legacies it left behind. Dictatorship, corruption, and stagnation. This is the story of two struggles separated by 6 years but bound by the same desire to see Africa truly free. Welcome to Zoom Era, where we talk about geopolitics, culture, and all about African development. Subscribe if you find this content to be interesting. After World War II, colonial powers stood weakened, but Africans stood determined.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
From Accra to Algiers, the drums of independence beat louder. In 1960 alone, 17 nations claimed their freedom. Ghana had opened the gates in 1957, and the wind blew across the continent. Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Jomo Kenyatta, they were not just leaders, they were architects of possibility. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. The first rise was against colonizers, the next against ourselves. Independence came fast, but unity, that was harder. Borders made by strangers had little meaning to the people within them. In Congo, crisis exploded after independence. Lumumba, the nation's first prime minister, was murdered within months. A martyr of idealism crashed between local chaos and global greed. Across Africa, military coups and civil wars followed. Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, two main revolutions traded one strong man for another. An African proverb says, "When there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot harm you." The internal enemies were fragile institutions, power-hungry politics, and foreign interference masked as friendship. The West feared communists, the East promised solidarity. Neither delivered freedom without strings. CIA-funded coups, Soviet-backed rebels. Africa was no longer colonized, but was still being used. Frantz Fanon wrote, "The colonized man finds his freedom in and through violence. But what if the violence never ended? What if it just changed names?" Even as borders bled and thrones crumbled, the dream of African unity lived on. In 1963, the Organization of African Unity was born, flawed but visionary. Its purpose, to protect African sovereignty and remind the world that the continent could speak with one voice. Pan-Africanism wasn't about perfection, it was about purpose. It asked, if we fought together for freedom, why not live together in dignity? An Akan proverb says, "Wisdom is like fire. People take it from others." The wisdom of the 1960s is burning again, but today's fire comes from you. 60 years later, a new revolution is stirring, not for flags, but for futures. In Sudan, in Senegal, in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Mozambique, in Angola, people are rising. They are not shouting for independence, they are demanding accountability. Democracy isn't enough, it is stolen at the ballot. Freedom means little if it is silenced at night. And progress isn't real if millions still suffer in poverty, while leaders live like emperors. Revolution is not a one-time event. Today's revolution is digital. It's youth-led. It's tired of excuses. It remembers the 1960s, not to worship the past, but to finish what was started. From decolonization to democratization, the African story is far from over. The 1960s gave us flags. The 2020s might give us freedom, the kind that lives not just on paper, but in people's lives.